Welcome to Hameen Loyal. This is Eric Grissom.
And I'm Dan Johnson. Eric and I will be rewatching the iconic Twin Peaks from the pilot through the return and everything in between.
If this is your first time watching, or if you're a longtime fan, you can watch along with us as we dive deep into the strange and wonderful world of Twin Peaks.
We live inside a dream.
Today on Meanwhile, as part of our Lynch and Artist series, I am honored and happy and amazed to be talking to the great Dustin Weaver. I've mentioned Dustin's work before. He's a fantastic comic artist and writer, and he has a new book out, The JUNIPER Lodge, which launched in June, right? Early June?
Yeah, I guess. I think. Sounds right.
Get out to your comic store, your favorite comic shop. Go to a bookstore. There's many places you can get this book. I highly recommend getting this book. Dustin, welcome to Meanwhile.
Thanks. I'm really excited to be here. I'm nervous. I always get nervous any time I have to do these things.
This is called the official Meanwhile No Nerve Zone.
Yeah.
If anyone is nervous, most of you people just listen to me. But I got my hands are moving around. It's like all of the ticks are going off. So no, this is a safe space. I want to start off. Were you from Alaska originally?
Yeah, kind of. I moved to Alaska when I was 10 years old, and I lived there for 8 years. Before that, I kind of moved around a lot. You know, it's something. I've been listening to your interviews. It came up in both the Mark Frost and Vera Drew interview, and you yourself have mentioned it before. The moving around as a kid.
Absolutely, I think that definitely affects. It is, like I said, maybe it's not really needed to control, but it kind of is. Like if you're unstable, the outside, it's like whatever I can do inside to make something where I'm sort of in control of something. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like this, whatever that is, the isolating nature of it, I think it's got to have something to do with it. I don't know. I mean, there was the extra thing for me because I drew a lot. And it became like a kind of social crutch of like you go to a new school and impress people as soon as you can by drawing something that they like, and then kids are nice to you. The teacher sort of gains respect for you. It was a nice tool to have.
Yeah. Was comics like the thing that you started drawing first? Was it?
No.
Comics,
I didn't get into comics until I was like 11. So, but I was drawing a lot before then. It's funny. I don't know if you know there's different comic book art, like drawing books, and there's like the drawing comics the Marvel way.
Greetings, true believers. I'm Stan Lee, co-author of How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way.
And before I ever read comics, I had read that.
Okay, that's an interesting starting point.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't care about the actual material. I want to know how to actually do it.
Kind of. I think it was after the first Batman movie came out. I was like, I loved that movie, and I still love that movie. I think it's weird and dreamy and interesting in all kinds of cool ways. But yeah, that was like the first attempt at like comics. I might want to draw comics. I haven't read comics, but I love drawing, and maybe there's something there because, I was a kid and it's like, what am I going to do, with this, with what I can do? I was like, maybe I can be, I don't know, an architect that they draw. I don't know what, I didn't know it was like a real drawing job.
You couldn't avoid the that Batman movie, the 89 Batman movie. Like, it was an exciting time. I'm probably a little bit older than you, but
Yeah.
Batman was my in as well. It was like the Adam West Batman show
Right.
that was on or was in syndication was like, I love that. I love this world. And that drew me to comics. But that Batman thing was everywhere. It was like, it was a great time to be a comic fan.
But yeah, it was a big deal. And it did get me to go to a comic book shop, and it was very weird and intimidating. And it was like the stereotypical, like,
Yeah.
dark, not nobody very helpful there.
Sure. In some places that hasn't changed, but in a lot of places it has.
It's changed. Yeah, it's changed a lot. But yeah, some places are still that way. But it was rough, actually. I couldn't get into comics right away. It took a couple. When I moved to Alaska, actually, I made some friends there, and they were all reading comic books.
Were you in like Anchorage or like a bigger city, or were you in a more remote area?
I was in Eagle River, which is just it's like 15 minutes outside of Anchorage, so it's not too far from Anchorage.
Because that location alone must have been incredibly inspiring. But the first comic I ever did was called Dead Horse that I set place in Alaska. I've not been to Alaska, but I spent a lot of time researching and looking at photos, and like it's just beautiful, wild country that's also a little scary, but in a good way. Like it's just, you feel like, well, you tell me, what was it like growing up in Alaska?
I mean, these were my school year. It was like high school times, and most of my experience was just in a classroom, and it's extremes. They've got like in the winter, it's dark all the time.
Yeah.
And in the summer, the sun doesn't go down. So it's very strange. The town that I'm in was kind of, Eagle River is like between like two mountains. So you just have like these really dramatic mountains, like on either side. You look this way, there's a big mountain, and that way it's almost in this kind of canyon area. My experience was that of a kid's. I don't know that I was fully appreciating what it was. Not until I moved away. I moved away when I was 18, and it was kind of, I moved to the Los Angeles area, and it was like horrifying to me.
Well, that must have been a huge whiplash of culture and everything.
It was the thing that I remember the most is like being on the freeway, and all the cars, and there was just like brick walls along either side of the freeway, and there was no mountains outside of it. I felt like I was it was so claustrophobic, like, because there's no depth of field, to see something out beyond.
Did that affect your work, like the kind of the openness of Alaska? Because when you're a kid, I mean, you're talking about your high school years, but you're now into comics, drawing. You're literally buying How to Draw the Marvel Way. So clearly, like, you're already perfecting a craft of art. Did the natural setting affect you in the way that it sounds like that whiplash of going to LA? It reminds me of like Lynch, who grew up in the Midwest and in Idaho, and then he goes to Philadelphia for college, and it's like a nightmare, but in a way that like kickstarts his work in the darker areas.
Yeah.
Did that happen to you?
I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. I have always like wanted to set things in Alaska, and there's things about Alaska that I'm always returning to, and some sort of there's ideas that I have that are set there, and but yeah, no, moving to the Los Angeles area, it was Orange County. It was just south of Los Angeles. It was like a nightmare. One thing was the news, just the local news. By comparison, like I was briefly staying with a great grandma, so it was like particularly weird. And she just had the news on all the time, and it was always car chases and crime and horror all the time. And that was like, it was rough.
Yeah, that doesn't make you feel. I'm in New Jersey. I grew up in like the suburbs, but we're in the New York City. All of our network television was, so all of the news was always New York, and it was always like some kind of terrible like race crime or something was going on, and like I remember being kind of like Bernard Getz, who had like shot somebody on the subway,
Yeah.
and I can imagine like Los Angeles at that time was also just a very rough period. Not that
Yeah.
too many things have changed that
No.
much, but yeah, that's a big deal when you get like that major city news compared to like whatever you're getting in Alaska.
Yeah. It was nice when I stopped living with that great grandma and I didn't have to watch it so much.
When you did get into comics, what was the comic that finally got you as far as like realizing you wanted to tell stories through visuals?
I kind of knew that I wanted to tell stories even before there was comics, but I didn't know how that would be.
Yeah.
I didn't even consider movies or whatever, but it was the things. So getting into comics, it was like I kept buying comics. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm connecting with this. It's not really working for me. And the one that like finally hooked me in was the I don't know how familiar you are. You're probably familiar. You're a comics guy, but the Larry Hama, Mark Silvestri Wolverine run.
Sure. Yeah. That did it.
Yeah, there was something. I think that Larry Hama was just very good at. It wasn't bogged down with a lot of continuity. He was good at like bringing you into this story. Wolverine at that time had no like he didn't remember his past.
No, that was the whole thing. It was like, yeah, constantly trying to, now you're going to figure out
Yeah.
like who is he? But I'm sure they've answered that many times.
Yeah. But for me, that helped because it was like, it doesn't matter. Well, oftentimes Wolverine's like, I don't remember that, or I don't know like what my past is. So I didn't feel like I was really missing anything. But then Mark Silvestri was just a really great artist. So to me, it was like this, complete package of it being very good. But that led me very quickly. At first, I was like, "Oh, I must be into Wolverine, I guess," and I didn't realize like what I was into was Mark Silvestri and Larry Hama.
And it sounds like the mystery of like the not knowing. That's what did it for me with like Larry Hama. Didn't even realize I was maybe too young to even know like his G.I. Joe comics.
Yeah.
And like a lot of the stuff, the same stuff with like Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes. And then the idea of this mystery of like, what is this thing?
Yeah, he knew what he's doing. He was pretty good at that stuff. But speaking of like mystery or ambiguity, following the Wolverine line, I soon picked up Weapon X, Barry Windsor Smith's Weapon X, and I think for me that was a big eye opener because that's a really weird comic. It's very.
Yeah.
It is, again, it's like, it's kind of surreal. It's kind of like a dream or a nightmare or something. The ending isn't quite clear. He still leaves a lot of ambiguity there. That Weapon X story was kind of the first time where I was like, well, maybe comics can be it. Comics have like, there's really something here.
Were you old enough to get in on Twin Peaks when it aired? Or did you come to that late? Or even Lynch's work in general? When did you enter into that world?
I think I was too young for Twin Peaks. I was like 11. And I know there's some people that are like, oh, I was watching when they were 11, but it's like, they had older siblings or it was on in their house or something like that. I had no idea. It totally passed me by.
Yeah, we've had a couple of listeners like write and say like their mom, they would watch it with their mom when they were like 6 or 7, which is wild. I mean, God, that sounds like the coolest parents you could imagine. But when did you get there?
I'm a parent, and I didn't. My daughter's 16, and we just watched it. I waited until she was 16. But no, it was when I was 17, is kind of 16 or 17. Movies really became a big focal point for me and a couple of my friends. It was kind of post Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction kind of was like, oh wait, movies are all this like, I should be watching movies and figuring this out, and there's Quentin Tarantino talking about all the movies that he loves, and we're like, okay, we got to go.
Yeah, there's
like
your checklist.
give us, yeah, exactly. But early on, I had a friend who had a Danny Perry cult movies book, and that put us on to David Lynch. There was just a little thing in there about Blue Velvet,
Mm-hmm.
and that was we watched that. We went, and that wasn't the first thing I had seen. I had seen Dune, just as a science fiction
Yeah.
fan. My dad loved science fiction, and I'd watched Dune like when I was a kid. A kind of like you know about Star Wars and Star Trek, and this is Dune.
Right.
Like,
Sure.
and
It's just going to be like that, not
yeah,
heart plugs. And you have to milk this emaciated cat.
yeah,
So you went through and you got Blue Velvet, even though you had seen Dune, but don't realize it's Lynch.
yeah,
But then Blue Velvet's your first film.
yes,
Yeah, that's a great entry point.
Right away, I was kind of in love. I don't know. It was like um, it was like this thing where like the like how could a scene be so many things at once kind of thing. You have like I don't know, like Frank Booth and Dorothy Valens there or whatever, and the scene is like horrifying but funny.
Yeah.
Like it's like compelling yet repulsive. I feel like I'm seeing something I shouldn't see, um, but it's like this kind of like it's this thing that I didn't realize in the moment, but it's this David Lynch thing of like walking a line of tonality that nobody else balances quite like him. And it was such a feeling that I know that was the thing when I came away from that, I was like, whatever that, I'm like a fan, like right away. Like this guy, sometimes you see something and you're like, okay, that was good. I'll watch another movie by that person. And you kind of, I think I was like just a fan, like right away. I mean, it was after that, we're like, oh, David Lynch, of course. Like we got to move on. We got to watch more David Lynch, right?
Did it affect the types of stories that you wanted to tell? Because you're older now when you see Blue Velvet. You're already kind of pitching out. You're trying to get hired professionally in comics at this point, right?
A little bit.
But is it changing the way that you think about the types of stories to tell, or how you're going to tell those stories, rather?
I mean, both. More than a better example is like the next movie I watched was Wild at Heart.
Okay.
And Wild at Heart was like, I was really into true romance also, and that sort of genre of like these lovers on the run, kind of a crime story or whatever. I just really loved it, and started drawing just kind of like in class in high school. I was just started like improvising my own version of this story, and so that was like right away. It was like an influence. Like I wanted to do this kind of crime story or whatever, and it was improvised. It wasn't very good, but yeah. But I mean, that movie, both those movies, influenced me like personally too. They were just. I started giving Elvis a shot, and which I was, I was a Beatles kid, but I'm like Elvis. I changed my hairstyle and stuff, and like bought my girlfriend a candy necklace as if it was like flowers.
Oh,
As
nice.
ridiculous.
Yeah, we all have those. We all have those memories of yeah. There was a very young. I had seen Sid and Nancy when I was like 14. I started
Yeah.
wearing like a dumb lock around my neck for
Yeah.
about 15 minutes. It's not a memory I want to share into a microphone.
Yeah, I had a Sid and Nancy friend who was full on Sid Viciousing it, and I was like, okay, well that's his thing.
Yeah, we all have to go through
Yeah.
those things. In your new book, like you do a mix of both. So there's many stories that are just you, but then you're working with another writer, I think a couple of different writers. It's not like one story, it's a collection. Were these things that you had written over time, or did you set out and say these are all projects and you put them together at the same time?
Yeah, it's over a span of time and different projects. There's like the Western story was something that, a friend of mine and I did, originally intended to be part of a Western anthology. And it was a matter of like getting together over drinks and talking it over, and he ultimately wrote the script, but it was born out of these conversations that we had.
Yeah, and that's Jeremy Barlow, right? That you
Yes,
did that
yeah.
with, yeah. Yeah, that's a beautiful story. That's
Thanks.
and all of it is like strange in the way that I like things being strange. So I would love to see more of that. The other story, Mushroom Bodies, is also one of my favorite stories that you have in there. But there seems to be a lot of Lynch influence
Yeah.
going on.
Yes.
Like literally, like one of the keys looks like the key to the Great Northern. Is the hotel that's in the title story, right? So that's the Juniper
Yeah.
Lodge story, but you see a little bit of it in the opening of your anthology.
Mhm.
Is that modeled after the Red Diamond Motel?
No. No, but it's a motel that's very similar. It's actually a real motel, or at least it was. I was driving, I was on a road trip, and it was a real place that I saw on the side of the road exactly as I've drawn it.
Yep.
And, I was, like, just fascinated by this dilapidated motel, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. It was like this mystery to me, like, what happened? What is going on with this place? And just based on that, I was like, I just wanna make a story about this feeling that I'm having about this thing, and, um, and that's what I ended up coming up with. But it was a real place. It burned down, though.
So the place burned down after you had seen it?
Yeah, after I wrote the story.
Right. As you're walking away with a gallon of gasoline.
Yeah.
It's weird. I burned this place down, but it's gone. But yeah, no, that's very cool. That's super cool.
Yeah. The sign is still there, though. You can see the sign on the side of the road.
Well, you've reached the midpoint, that time when we're here to thank the people that have supported the show and have become residents of the Black Lodge. Curl up with a bowl of Garmonbozia, because we're serving up hot corn for Chuck Suffle, Gregory Flanagan, Dawn Adamo, Banjo Track, Eric Knopp, Charlie Tapper, Ivan, Jake Jagello, Matthew Fuller, Raga Raven, David Melito, Daryl Dyson, Dana Gould, Art Hill, Jeff, Henrik E. Concluding remarks, Brian Johnson, Evan Fitz, Hazel Haywood, William Schaefer, Jordan Carver, Matt W., Nick Webb, Kalen, Best, Lawrence, He Who Is Clem Fandango, a.k.a. Luke P., Eva, Neil McKenzie, Ben Chisholm, David Titterington, Ethan Berry, May Surkoff, Wordy Ginters, Chris H., Patrick Weiss, Skeksis, Julian Zoller, Matthew Walker, Dustin Weaver, Fifi Ramone, Dave, and of course, Andy Levy. Thank you to each of you. Thank you to all the people at our other levels, to everyone who listens and supports. And get ready. We're going to Inland Empire. So pack a lunch, charge up your batteries for your PD-150. We're going to get weird. Inland Empire is coming. I love you. I love your work. I said it before we were off the air. I think this is one of the most interesting books that I've read in a while. As I said, it's a collection of short stories, so I would recommend. It's not like you have to have a history of knowledge of some universe or characters or whatever. You can buy this book. You can find something in each of the individual chapters. Certainly a lot of Lynch influence. Obviously a lot of Kafka stuff going on where you have people and bugs, and I think that ties in. That was an influence for Lynch as well. The film Naked Lunch, I don't know if you're a fan of that film or not, but I'm getting that coming off of this in some of these stories. It's just phenomenal. How long did this take you?
So several of these stories were in my anthology series called Packless. I've put out 9 issues of Packless, including an issue 0. So it's 10 issues of Packless. But and they're like, I'm doing everything in those issues. They're 56 pages long. It's like each one is like so much work, and I kind of work through them like as they, what comes next in the next issue, and they're serialized stories. So I had a story called 1949, which was serialized in Packlist 5, 6, and 7.
And that
And
you've collected too, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And so none of this stuff was done like in, one right after the other. It's like everything's like broken up. So yeah, everything, the contents of the Juniper Lodge span several years.
Are you coloring it too?
Yes, yeah.
That's all. The colors are gorgeous, and you have like clearly it all looks like your work. But there's unique styles to each of the things.
Yeah.
Each one has a unique feel, from the coloring to your line work. So you do Wild at Heart, you did Blue Velvet.
Yeah.
Now you go to Twin Peaks after those things, or because I know
Yeah.
Blue Velvet was your first, and then it was Wild at Heart. You watched the Gold Box DVD probably, or VHS?
Nope. This would have been in 96.
Okay.
I rented the international pilot,
Okay.
and I love the international pilot. I feel like a lot of people that talk about Twin Peaks sort of gloss over the international pilot because it's like, well, it doesn't count or something. It's like not canon or
That was how you had to watch it. Like, that was the only, unless you watched it on TV, you had to watch the internet. That's how all of my friends watched it, they watched the international pilot. I have a whole theory that the end of it, though, is his full dream. I don't know if you've heard me talk about it on the show, but the entire international ending is Cooper's dream.
I have heard you talk about that. I've listened to every episode, but I can't remember what was your thought there.
So in episode 3, so Cooper has in the regular show, episode 2, he has the dream. He calls up, meet me tomorrow. I know who killed Laura Palmer. Yes, I can wait till morning. Then he talks to Harry and Lucy.
Harry, let me tell you about the dream I had last night.
Tibet.
No. You were there. Lucy, so were you.
And he's like, I had this dream. You were there, Harry. And Lucy, you were there too. Now, neither of them are in the dream.
Yeah.
In the dream that we see. But they are in the international ending.
Yes.
As is the scenes that we see in episode 2. So in my head, the entire international ending is Cooper's dream. He has this weird dream. Andy's playing is he playing the tuba, or he's playing the trombone? She's doing the
paddle ball thing.
The paddle ball thing, exactly. And they go in the basement. He sees Mike. But he only remembers the pieces of it that we see. But he's telling her, you were there. So that's how I'm like, yes, it is canon.
Yes.
It's just his dream that we're seeing, and it's a little weird. And even in the international ending, he says Deputy Hawk is said to be drawing Bob.
Hi, Agent Cooper. It's Lucy from work.
Lucy, are you still at work?
No. Andy and I are over at my place. Andy was playing the trumpet, and we were getting ready for bed, and do you know what happened?
No, tell me.
Well, Mrs. Palmer was in her daughter's room this morning, and she remembered that she saw the killer, she thinks. And so Hockner, the sheriff, over at the Palmers right now, making a sketch.
Lucy, you tell the sheriff to get that sketch and meet me at the hospital.
And then in episode 1, he says, oh, in my dream it was Hawk. So they even sort of acknowledge that that's true.
In my dream, Sarah Palmer has a vision of her daughter's killer. Deputy Hawk sketched his picture. I got a phone call from a one-armed man named Mike.
So that's what I'm going with. But so you watch the pilot, you watch the international ending.
On the box it says like, oh, this hit television series, and then you watch the pilot and you're like, how is this a television series? Like, it seems to wrap itself up. Like it ends
so
25
abruptly.
years in the future. But I had to like grapple with that on its own, and I really loved it because it's, we all know the stories of like how Lynch comes up with that ending. It's like the vision of Frank Silva in the room,
Sure. Yep.
and he's like, "Oh, that's so creepy."
He's moving the furniture and everything.
And then there's the reflection, and then there's the hot hood of the car, and all these things. But to me, this is like if you're looking at David Lynch as like an artist, this is like a turning point, I think, for him as an artist. I think that he sort of discovers the artist that he's becoming, like with this episode, because it has all these sort of he has this opportunity to improvise, and he's drawing from like subconscious things, and this will become like how he does things. Like, I mean, he essentially does the same thing with Mulholland Drive.
Yeah.
Takes a pilot and has to like improvise a new ending for it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And but this process, I feel like it's almost like he taps into something new by doing this, and he essentially takes a show that is a mystery and transforms it into like an anti-mystery. Like he sort of subverts it. We're introduced to all these characters, and then it's like, well, the killer isn't any of those guys. It's just this guy. He's in a basement. We're going to undermine the whole notion of this being a mystery in a typical sense. And which is sort of like, well, I don't know if that's satisfying to me, right? Like, I thought the answer would be satisfying, but it's this strange thing. I don't even know what to make of this. And then, if that's not enough, 25 years later, which is so surreal, it reminds me of what is it, Un Chien Andalou, the short surreal film. They keep doing this thing in that where it's like 16 months earlier, 2
Yeah.
years later, and it's like it's a really fascinating thing to just slip into something that's completely surreal. We are trying to make sense of it, and then suddenly it goes, no, cut.
Yeah.
16 years later, and then you might be in the same exact scene in Chin Andalou. It's like, how is this? But you're recontextualizing.
Mhm.
It's like I jettison all the context. We're 25 years later, and now you have this scene, and there's like that notion in writing of like all of your characters want something, right? And the story is kind of responding to like their want or whatever. Maybe like maybe like the ending is some sort of like some sort of like reconciling with that want or something. Like they get what they want or they don't or something like that. But what he essentially does is like, it's like you wanted to know who the killer was, but that's not important. What is important is this 25 years later scene, and what essentially it is. I mean, you can say it's a lot of things, but what essentially it is it's your detective Dale Cooper meeting Laura Palmer,
Yeah.
and having a connection to her. I mean, it's a very strange exchange, but she kisses him and tells him a secret. It's very intimate. And it's sort of like the story says, you thought you wanted this thing. You thought you wanted to know who the killer was, but that's not what you wanted. Like, what you want is Laura. What you want is to connect to the person who is dead. That's what we're fulfilling now. Like, Dale Cooper had a secret desire that he himself wasn't aware of.
Right.
And I feel like this is like runs through David Lynch's stuff.
Absolutely.
Where the characters want something, but they have a secret want or a want they don't know about,
And you can see that as Lynch falling in love with Laura Palmer as well. I mean, they're casting Sheryl Lee just to be wrapped in plastic. That's going to be it. And then he has to come up with this ending. And then it becomes like this focus thing. And you could totally see why when we're rolling into the season, Maddie, you're now going to be in it. And he's going to build up everything.
I think it's like the push and pull of the entire drive of what makes the magic of Twin Peaks is the push and pull of mystery and anti-mystery. In a way, it is this kind of like, I mean, the mystery is who killed Laura Palmer, but really Laura is the one, is like on the
Sure.
other side of that equation.
Yeah.
And so you have like, it's sort of like the show wants to give you the mystery side of things, but then but Lynch is always kind of pulling it back towards like, that's not what's important. What's important is that we can't know the answers. What's important is that life doesn't offer easy solutions. What's important is that this is complicated and existential, and
Yes.
all these other things. The genre of anti-mystery is really big in Japan. Like there's apparently, like in novels, like there's a lot of where it presents like this is a mystery story with the mystery
Mhm.
tropes, but then it doesn't really fulfill what that should fulfill. It veers off. It stops maybe it never solves the mystery that it's putting forth.
Well, that's to me the most exciting part is like in Blue Velvet when
Mhm.
Jeffrey says, I'm in the middle of a mystery. That's the most exciting part of anything.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
whispering, Laura whispering in his ear, that's the most, not hearing what you said, because
Yes.
now you've destroyed the beautiful work.
Yeah.
I always want to be in the middle of the mystery. And I 100% agree with you. Lynch finding himself or finding the next level of himself
Yeah.
when he has to do the international ending,
Yeah.
and the fact that that's presented to him and this opportunity now is this creative springboard, and that goes all through the rest of his work. It's wonderful. But when you watched it, did you think that was the entire thing? Did you not realize there was a
I didn't
episode
know.
1 through 29 to go?
I was confused. I was like, I don't really know. But to me, it was like, it was this interesting thing that had a very surreal ending. And but I mean, within weeks, I watched Fire Walk with Me. So I was like, I don't have any idea what's going
on. You
on.
went in a very strange order, my friend. So you get just the international ending, thinking that's the entirety of Twin Peaks. Then you get the revelation. Now, did Fire Walk with Me? I always think it holds up as it's my favorite movie. I've said it so many times, but I feel like it holds up if you haven't seen. Many people have yelled at me and they've sent me emails like, no, if you don't know Twin Peaks, you can't enjoy it. I don't think that's true. I think you can watch Inland Empire and there's nothing you could see before and you'll still also be confused about certain things.
Yeah, yeah.
But what was your reaction to Fire Walk with Me? You saw the pilot, so it's not like you're going completely blind.
Yeah.
Were you trying to connect Bob to the Bob, I guess, in the end of the international ending? Or did you know by that point, I missed a chunk in between?
I watched it and I'm like, there's a lot that I don't know. I have to reserve my judgment of this thing. I just don't know what I watched. Like, it was, part of it is like, wait, am I misremembering the movie that I watched before? How does this, which, I don't know. I don't think that I had a judgment on Fire Walk with Me at the time. I think I just had to kind of go like, I'm putting that on the shelf, in my mental shelf, and I can't think about that right now. But also, I was kind of on board with David Lynch, and I was already kind of liking the weirdnesses, and that was already kind of like, I was kind of just, it couldn't have really put me off. But I honestly, I don't remember. Like, I think I just couldn't think about it at the time. It was like years later that I could really assess how I felt about Fire Walk with Me. And because it would be years before I actually had the series. I didn't get to watch, like, season 1 got released on like DVD in like 2001, maybe? Something like that?
I think, they put out, I don't remember the years, but it was like the first season came out without the pilot. And it wasn't, and then I don't think they ever came out with a season 2 on DVD. And then it was the gold box in like 2007 or so.
Yeah.
So that gave us the pilot, first season, second season on DVD.
Yeah.
But I think there's only season 1 on DVD and no season 2 on DVD before the gold box.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Because I had the VHS tapes. The VHS tapes did not have the pilot. So you just had episode 1 through 7. And then they came out with season 2 without, because the pilot was you had to get the international tape. So it was so convoluted.
Yeah, in 2001, I owned Fire Walk with Me and the pilot, and and then they released this DVD set
Yeah.
that, and I watched that, and of the first season, it was like so many things like clicked into place. I'm like,
It was like,
oh, okay, so
okay.
they reused that ending. Like I had to like figure it out myself. I remember for the first time getting online
Yeah.
and going, what's the deal? Like looking up like Twin Peaks stuff and finding these early
Sure,
internet
like message boards and stuff. Yeah.
and fan sites, and where they're breaking down like locations, and I'm like, what the? I don't even know what I didn't even know in the first season. I didn't know what like White Lodge, Black Lodge. I didn't know what these things were. They're talking about locations and stuff. I remember reading like Dead Dog Farm. I'm like, what is all
What
this
is
stuff?
happening?
It
Who is
was
Mrs. Tremont? Why is there's this old lady showing up and giving her a painting?
when I finally got to see. It was like years. There was like years in between these things. Like season 2, I saw in 2006 because I finally lived in a place where there was a really good video store, and they had the whole VHS set,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, finally, I can watch. I can finally find out who shot Agent Cooper.
Right.
You know, like this is I've been living with this
You've been
cliffhanger for
waiting
years.
for that reveal. Yeah.
Yeah. Little did I know it wasn't that big of a deal, or
Yeah.
at least it didn't seem that way once you get back into it.
Yeah.
And so then I finally got to watch the season 2, all of the season 2 stuff on VHS. It was
Yeah, it's great. It's such like an interesting too, like transformative state of Lynch too, because you start off with like Blue Velvet, and it's like the light and dark in us, and are we detectives or perverts? And then you go through Twin Peaks, and then it's like doppelgangers. It's like now in the weird lodges, there's an opposite version of yourself. And then you go into Lost Highway. It's like, okay, now we're splitting. You watch him tackle identity until identity becomes separate characters, and it all sort of flows through Twin Peaks. It's
Lost Highway was a big deal for me. Like right in that time period where we're watching those movies, you know, like soon after watching Fire Walk with Me, Lost Highway came out in theaters. And so I went to the theater and watched Lost Highway. And I'd never seen anything like that. Like, you know, I think a lot of people like Mulholland Drive blew their mind or whatever, but I was like living with Lost Highway for 4 years, which I didn't know what to make of it at first, right? Like I'm like, I don't know what that was. So when it came out for rent, I rented it, and it was like a different experience. And so I was like, I bought it, and I watched it. I became like obsessed with Lost Highway.
Yeah. It was amazing.
It's my favorite movie.
Okay, I was going to ask you what your favorite Lynch film was. Now, is your favorite movie or?
Yeah. It's my favorite movie. Yeah. Of all movies, Lost Highway is my favorite movie. It's because it kind of like taught me what art was about, and that I didn't get it. And as I watched it more and more, I was, I started like different things were being brought out of the movie each time I watched it, and I started developing a kind of theory. You know, I started like thinking like, I think this is what's going on here.
Sure.
And something's going on, and I start developing this theory, and then I reach this point where I realize that I had been sucked into this movie, that I was participating with it in a way that I'd never done before, and that the movie was now like personalized. It was me and the movie. Like I had my own version of this movie now that somebody else might not have. And I think that by doing that, I kind of realized, like, going back to like Batman or something, when I saw when I was a kid, I kind of had my own version of that too. A lot of it was because I didn't quite understand a lot of it, because it was going over my head. I didn't understand the romantic relationships or whatever. I was 9. The kind of, whatever. I had my own idea of it, but I started thinking about like you can kind of have this relationship with any piece of art, and that's the creators of a story are always trying to, guide you down a certain path towards a certain conclusion. They're kind of closing off doors. They're trying to control your experience, but there's no fully controlling it. You can always have an interpretation of any piece of artwork. There's a lens that you could look through it,
Sure.
through. You can go like, oh, what is this? What was the artist going through at the time? Like this might reveal something. You're watching, Cronenberg's The Brood, and you're like, well, he was going through a divorce at the time. We can watch this movie through the lens of it being a divorce movie from a kind of, an angry guy who's gone through this thing. And that's interesting, and maybe there's doors of interpretation to that movie that are open that he maybe didn't really intend. He wasn't trying to guide you into going like, here's how I feel about divorce, obviously.
Exactly. Yep.
So I really feel like all art is like this. And what David Lynch does is he tries to open as many doors as he can while creating an experience. How many doors can I leave open towards you interpreting things this way or seeing this, making this connection? Like I want to, he leaves all these possibilities open. But it's sort of that interactive quality is what I learned,
Yeah, that's really interesting, especially when you talked about Batman 89. And I wonder if there's something to how we connect with art when we're young.
Yeah.
Because we don't have the language to understand these things, that we have these deep connections to things, shows, music, whatever, that we hear when we're young, and that's usually what sticks with us. And that we don't have that with modern stuff because it's so over-explained, and clearly I know exactly what the story means, whereas artists like Lynch open those doors, like you're saying, and we are back to almost that youthful sense of putting those pieces together, that it has a deeper lock on us.
Yeah.
So that's a really interesting way of looking at things.
It's a kind of nostalgia.
That's 100% the same way that I feel about his work. And it's the ambiguity, but it's more than that. It's not that he's not answering things. It's just that they're presenting new mysteries and questions for you to connect with it and for you to experience it in a certain way. And I would never want to know what any of this stuff means. That's even when I interviewed Mark Frost, certainly I have all these questions of things that, why would I ever want to know what they thought the thing meant?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff drives me crazy. But that's really, when you said that thing about Batman, it's like, okay, that actually makes a lot of sense to how people connect with art.
Yeah, especially when you're a kid. It's like there's so much that you don't understand, that you're filling in so many blanks. And to me, that experience is something. I look for that in all kinds of art, And Lynch was really good at giving you this. People, you get older and you start thinking that you know everything, and you start thinking if I come away from this piece of artwork, this movie, this book, or whatever, and I didn't get it, well, then that thing has let me down. It has failed me. And that's your baggage, man.
Right, exactly.
That's your experience. Take from it what you will. It's up to you in a way,
And I feel like it's harder to tell the types of stories that I like, and it sounds like that you like now, because everybody tells you the opposite. It's like you have to do everything's so formulaic, and it's there for a reason, and you have to be able to explain your story in a log line of 2 sentences, and you got to pitch, and it's got to be like this, and it's got to be like that, and you don't want to, and you want to tell these interesting stories, but then no one's publishing them because you can't sell them on the crap, and you can't do that in 2-3 minute Instagram reel or whatever. So it's just getting harder and harder to and your stories are unapologetically many open doors that and I was drawn right to that. Do you find that harder, when you're going out and trying to get work to pitch those ideas, or are people more receptive to them now?
I mean, I published Packless through Image Comics, and I basically pitched it just one time as being my one-man anthology this is me doing my own sort of 8-ball or something like that.
Yeah.
But I had enough of a mainstream career, and my work is very got a lot of commercial appeal. I'm very detail oriented, and I like characters to be pretty and things like that. And so I get, I still get a lot of work, drawing stuff for Marvel or whatever. I do covers and um, you know, I can get that sort of work. And I think just based on, my track record, and, I pitched this thing and it was sort of accepted. And so it's sort of like, oh, well, this is my place. I could do whatever I want. Now, I was kind of naive about it in that I was like, um, people are going to love this. They're going to love it like they love Twin Peaks or something. Like they're going to
Right.
love David Lynch. Like I've always wanted to make weird comics. And there's got to be a lot of people that are into this sort of thing. But like, turns out there maybe are a lot of people that could be into it, but they're not really looking at comics for that sort of thing.
The people listening to this are the people that should be buying your book, because they will love your book. Like, if you even remotely like comics, you obviously like Lynch, I would highly recommend Juniper Lodge. Lost Highway, where are you on, like, Straight Story? You also, Straight Story, Elephant Man, the heart of side of David Lynch. Is that stuff appeal to you? I mean, if you say no, I'll probably hang up on you.
I love all of it. I am like, there's very few things that I'm like a real fan of, like, because there's, you can't say like you're a fan of Star Wars. There's just too much Star Wars and too much of it is bad.
Yeah.
But I can become a fan of like an artist, and there's just a point in which every single thing of David Lynch is just another facet of him, and it's like he's just a person to me that I love,
Yeah.
and so it's like it's all part of him, and I love all of it. I mean, but those are great movies. They're just great.
They're great movies. He's the only, obviously I'm biased because I like his material, but I love all of his films. I love, like, Martin Scorsese. I don't love all Martin Scorsese movies. I don't like Gangs of New York. I've tried. I can't get into it. But he's the only filmmaker that I can think of that every single film of his I love. Like, even Dune, I understand some of the limitations, but there's many, many, many parts of it I love. But yeah, it's rare to find an artist like that. But yeah, I even like his comedy stuff. Like, I'm a fan of What Would Jack Do?
Life in those times was hard. Hard enough to crack a coconut. For argument's sake, let's say I was a horse. Even so, it'd be hard to imagine how hard my first wife rode my ass.
That's a tough one. Like, I can know, like, I'm saying this is great. Some people are like rolling their eyes, like, what am I watching? But I can get down with that.
Watching Twin Peaks with my daughter, I sort of slotted in some things. And before, after the reveal in season 2 with Leland Palmer and that wraps up, we took a break and we watched the first episode of On the Air, because I wanted her to quickly gain an appreciation for, like, Ian Buchanan and the other people that are in there, and kind of like, all right, the rest of this kind of gets a little goofy.
Yeah.
Not this goofy, but this will kind of like, let's just go with something goofy here, and like and On the Air was kind of a nice, like, palate cleanser right there after.
What did she think? I would like to know first, actually, what she thought of Twin Peaks, but just to stick with On the Air, was she like, this is terrible, or was she interested in it? Because to me, it feels more modern because it's like almost like a Tim and Eric.
Yeah.
What was her take?
I mean, she's throughout the whole thing, she's kind of, for a long time, she's just kind of going along with me and
humoring Dad.
That's what I thought. But then there's been a few times where I've heard her talking about David Lynch stuff. without me present, like to
Mhm.
to her mom or something, or like she'll talk about wanting to watch movies with friends or something, and she's like, I don't know if they're ready for like David Lynch things or whatever, and um so I'm just aglow with like excitement over like, oh, she wants to do that. So there's like a whole experience that she's having that I'm not really prying into too much. But she's enjoyed it. She's since finishing up Twin Peaks, she's um I think she started listening to her own sort of podcast that
Oh,
related to Twin
nice.
Peaks and stuff, and so um yeah, it's cool. It's cool. That's one of the things being a parent is like you get to
Yeah,
you
you
get
can
to
introduce them to interesting things.
yeah,
It's like a balance, right? You don't wanna, like, overly do it because you want them
yeah,
to have their own identity, but you're also like, "No, this I've done the research.
yeah.
This is pretty good." Did you
Twin
do The Return as well, or have
Yep.
you not made it? Oh, so you did the whole thing.
We just wrapped it up like days ago.
What's your
So
take on The Return?
I mean, it's the best.
Okay, yeah.
I mean,
I've not asked that question and heard it's not the best, but
yeah,
I remember, like, when it came out, it felt more divisive. I remember talking to people and people not liking it or saying, like, it was not
yeah,
great, and that seems to have changed. I feel like that happens a lot with Lynch,
yeah,
with time. Everyone's like, Firewalk with Me, nobody liked, but that's
yep,
good. That's good, yeah. Most
yeah,
people seem to love The Return. But do you remember that being, like, people didn't like Dougie, and, like, there was, like, a
yeah.
lot of negative stuff about it?
I do remember that. I was sort of lurking online with watching the chatter about it, not contributing too much, but I mean, I was so already just, in like I didn't know if we were getting anything from David Lynch again, I wasn't counting on any of that. So like every second of it, I was just cherishing and just I had such trust in him already after years of, being such a fan of his stuff.
Had you seen Inland Empire?
Yeah. Yeah. I saw it in the theater.
Did you like it?
I did.
Yeah, I love that too. I feel like if you saw Inland Empire,
Yeah.
like, I was like, I knew what to expect with The Return. And I remember people, like, when it first got announced, like, once in a while there'd be like some jerk or whatever on Twitter would be like, this is a sellout, or whatever. It's like this last movie that he made is Inland Empire.
Yeah.
This is not going to be commercial. Like, whatever you're going to get,
Yeah.
it's going to be a guy sweeping for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that was like the thing is like I was so in love with Lost Highway. When Mulholland Drive came out, I was like, oh yes, this is like this. I don't get this. I went to the theater. I watched it 3 times in the theater, which is weird for me. I don't really do that too often.
yeah.
Or ever. But I kept going back. I was just, I was like, this is the feeling that I want. I want to be a little, and I kept going because I wanted to like unlock it somehow or come up with my own unlocking of it.
Yeah, you want to unlock your own blue box. Yeah.
And so when Inland Empire came around, I wanted to be baffled. I wanted,
And you were.
I wanted a surreal experience. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. He delivered. Yeah.
Yeah, we're supposed to do that next.
Why Inland Empire next?
I started this podcast. I was really depressed. He had died. We were just going to do the Twin Peaks stuff. And then I was going to go back and make comics and go back to trying to do that stuff.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, now it feels like I don't want to let it go because I'm talking to you. I'm talking to freaking Mark Frost. I talked to Michael Horse. It was like,
oh, so you got that. You did it.
Yeah. That should go up next week. He is awesome. He is so nice. I have like a audio clip of him calling me buddy and telling me he'll call me if he comes to New Jersey. I'm just like playing it for myself. Just
that's awesome.
So it's like that's going on. So then it's like, okay, well, what are we gonna do? We're gonna do On the Air. I was like, oh, I want to do On the Air, and then I started this dumb campaign that I don't know if it's gonna do anything or go anywhere. It's weird.
I still think you should do it.
We'll definitely still do On the Air.
Yeah.
But then I was like, well, what would be like really dense and interesting for me? Like all the stuff that I do is like make me happy. And I was like, that would make me happy because I don't really have a cohesive idea. It's so strange. And all the stuff with the stories and also feels to me like so much of The Return. Like so much of Inland Empire is about stories, about
Yeah,
stories, about stories. And it's also one of my biggest fears. Like, that movie scares me in a really deep part of my soul of like losing my identity or not knowing where I am, or when she's saying like, oh my God, this dialogue sounds like it's in our movie. And then they yell cut
Yeah,
and they're
yeah.
outside and there's a camera. That kind of stuff. That's like, I don't know. It's like something about that scares the hell out of me.
Yeah.
And her performance is so good. And I feel like it's a companion piece for The Return in the way that I think about The Return.
I think it's a good choice. I was surprised when you mentioned it in the podcast that you were going to do that, but I was like, oh, that's a good one. I think also because, a lot of people that talk about David Lynch stuff, there's a lot of talking about Twin Peaks, of course.
Yeah.
Inland Empire, not so much.
Right. All right, I will let you go. I kept you way longer because I talked too much about comics, so I apologize for the extra 37 minutes. Before you leave, though, I would like to know if people wanted to buy any of your books, is DustinWeaver.com the best place to go? I think you got links probably on there.
I mean, I think there's links to like going to Amazon or whatever. Like, yeah, it can be ordered online through bookstores.
Do you have anything new coming out, like either through your other work, like Marvel or DC or anything in the stores that you want people to purchase or pre-order?
Next year, I'm publishing my first comic that I ever drew.
Oh, wow.
I drew like a mini series, and it was the guys that I was working with. They did a kind of small run of self-publishing the issues or whatever, and some of it was left unfinished, and it's always been bothering me and as like unfinished business. And I decided to actually go back and take my old layouts and finish the old layouts that I didn't quite finish. There was just like 15 pages or something. And, like kind of remaster it, put colors to it. And I'm doing a kind of special edition collection. It's called Assassin's Guild.
Nice. Okay.
But I think it's a lot of fun. I wouldn't be putting it out if I didn't think it was worth checking out. This was an amateur, project. None of us were professionals, and but I was pouring work into it. That's part of it. It's like I've never actually worked harder on anything, because once you become a professional, it's like you have to meet deadlines and all this stuff. So, I mean, I had like a lot to prove in trying that stuff, and it did. I was using it to submit to getting to companies trying to get work, and some of those pages are what like finally started getting me work, showing that stuff. But to me, it's just like I put all this work into this thing, and I gotta like get it out there so people can see it, And so I've tried to present it in the best possible light without.
I'm sure it's great. Yeah, I'm sure.
Without changing too much. It's fun. It's a cyberpunk kind of Blade Runner-esque sort of thing. With a lot of what that entails. I drew this in the early 2000s, and there's a lot of guns in it. Guns have fallen out of fashion in comics, and they were everything in the 90s.
Oh my God, yeah.
I'm bringing guns back.
Bring guns back. Well, not in the real world. Just
No.
Let's bring guns back in Dustin's comics.
I'm very against them in the real world. The guns you like are going to come back in style.
Now all of a sudden Dustin show me his NRA tattoo, so that's where we're going to end this. All right, man. Thank you. I appreciate this to no end. I hope it was fun and it wasn't too bad.
Oh, yeah. I've had a great time.
Thank you for listening to the Meanwhile podcast with Dan Johnson and Eric Grissom. If you would like to support the Meanwhile podcast, join our Patreon. It's available right now. You can sign up, and for just a few dollars a month, you can keep this show going, and you can get access to some exclusive podcasts and some secret stuff that you're not going to find anywhere else. So if you'd like to join, go to ericgrissom.com/meanwhile and look for the Patreon link. If you like our show, please consider rating and reviewing the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're hearing this now. Meanwhile is produced by Eric Grissom and Where's My Robots? The Meanwhile theme song is written and performed by Paul Finn and Evening Pines. If you want to let us know what you thought of the show, you can reach Dan at danjnj.com, both on the web and on Blue Sky. Eric can be found on Blue Sky at ericgrissom.com, which is also his website. It's also me, right? That's weird. We'll see you again, and in the meantime, be good.
Listen to the sounds.
Meanwhile.
Where's my robot? You know?